be staying ahead of the changes and to put the most pressure possible on Envy in the first playoff match. For Haven, the answer is we got a Sage and a
hold on.
Raze.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay, listen. Believe in the B-Dog Sage. I'm not gonna lie, guys. Believe in the B-Dog Sage. You have to think about how B-Dog is gonna be created with this particular Sage pick. Like, he's not gonna be some sort of passive Sage. You can expect like those battle Sage plays to come out as well. I'm not saying that he's gonna be taking like all of the crazy risks. Some risks will need to be taken, but expect like, yeah, expect some like aggressive type of Sage play, like vertical walls, getting off angles and whatnot, and being a bit more creative.
I like this. I don't know. I mean, obviously they're trying to, I don't know, just rectify, you know, in terms of, honestly, I think they're just trying to change up the strategy in terms of, you know, what they can bring, the potential and the comfort. I don't know. I feel like I've seen B-Dog play Sage before a very, very, very long time ago as that being, you know, one of the main agents for them. But I think I really like this. I think I agree with Ash in terms of, you know, just watch out for B-Dog and what they can offer on the stage for sure.
I think it's going to be interesting because like Sierra was saying, Envy don't have to change their game plan because they weren't running the Tejo. They get to be comfortable going into playoffs. But I also want to keep our eyes out on, with the double wall here from Thief and B-Dog, it will limit the opportunities that Inspire has to go on those lurks. So keep an eye out.
Definitely like to call out that this is maybe something that can make a very comfortable Envy maybe sweat a little bit, but it's time to head into the very first map of the series. Is the entire switcher from YFP going to be enough, or is it Envy going to be starting off the series right? It's time to head over to your casters, Jen and Ship. Find out.
Thanks, Sierra. Yeah, it's a clash of expectations and reality. While Envy stands at the top, today they face an underdog with something to prove and nothing to lose. Beating YFP, I don't think is going to be a walk in the park shift.
No, not at all. I think the thing about this YFP roster is that like the names on paper are all incredible. I mean, veterancy, they have the experience across a number of different seasons of Valorant. Of course, you've also got a really good, I think, versatile lineup in terms of who can play what, but this comp does take me a little bit off guard. Penny on Raze on Haven, you don't really expect that. But I think like just kind of looking at what YFP want to do here, I kind of like it, especially from the defensive side. The idea that you could put together two different walls to block off choke points and force the offense to go to one direction or the other, I actually really like that because it then has an opportunity for the Raze to just play on top of a site, not necessarily have to worry about how do you move around the map against things like a Yoru or an ISO. You just have to essentially play the one side, or the one site rather, that you aren't going to be relying on a barrier orb or the vice shear. So should be interesting. Let's get this thing going.
I was very surprised YFP picked this, but Penny's got something up his sleeve, and he's got the whole army of Envy marching over at B. So YFP were able to catch him at the heel, and look at that reaction, a quick paranoia in from Jakey, and Envy are caught behind, not knowing whether to escape, whether to claw back. And it's YFP making quick work of the pistol.
Yeah, I think just you're already starting to see a little bit of like how this is going to be annoying for Envy. You know, you have your Vice Wall down at C, the Sage is playing over at A to play a reactionary barrier orb if you need it, and then as soon as you try to rotate over, you just throw slow orbs in the mix. You throw paranoias, you throw smokes, you throw things like haunts. It's a lot of stuff that's going to really suffocate one of the three sites, no matter obviously which direction YFP feel like the hit's going to be coming from. So there's a level of like Envy trying to play this double duelist. We know it. Some of us love it, some of us hate it. But the idea of like ISO just walking up and getting a free look at a site because of the shield, and then you have the Yoru to dive in after that, not going to be a guarantee.
Thank you all so much for your patience through that extended tech pause. Envy is all sorted out. We've explored every inch of Haven, and we're still in the anti-eco shift.
Yeah, yes, we are. And I'll say this much. After a 1 hour break, you better be ready for anything because you have to be thinking you have solved and gone over every possibility at this point outside of trying to solve the issues at hand. And here we go. A little bit of a battle over towards Sewers. 2-for-1 exchange. Defense still holding solid.
Yeah, and in case you missed that pistol round that happened 3 decades ago, it was a flawless round for YFP, and only dropping one gun here, absolutely annihilating Envy, bodes really well that, well, they're able to keep that momentum going forward.
Yeah, and let's just try to revisit the conversation here, friends, because we've been sitting on our boots for a minute here. But the big thing that's going to be the hard issue for Envy is dealing with the double walls to block off 2 of the 3 sites pretty much instantaneously. The Vice wall is going to go down, it looks like, towards C almost every single time. And then we saw the Sage wall in that last anti-eco, maybe because it was an anti-eco, be placed pretty quickly in towards the B part of the map. But as we start to kind of get through this and as we get into full weapon rounds, there's going to be a lot of questions about what exactly is Envy going to do to either bait out that Vice wall or get an early barrier orb down so that way you can actually execute without giving away exactly where you're going. That's going to be the big issue here. And, well, that's one heck of a way to do it. We talk about Penny's prowess of being a great duelist, and you open up with just a quick outlaw shot through mid.
Yeah. Poppin' got popped. Didn't even expect that to be coming, and YFP found the right timing to surprise Envy and not just wait for things to develop. And Envy making their way also behind C and through Garage, and now just through the front, right in Thief's face. And I'll tell you how they're going to deal with that Vice wall. There's not going to be one to worry about at all. As Envy found their way around it and now set up on C.
Yeah, I love this idea from Envy in terms of, again, just forcing it. And I think the thing about this is, even though you are being choke pointed a lot, oh, okay, a little bit of an action over there, a little bit messy from Kane initially, but I was going to say, like, initially, you look at this and you say you're going to have to go to one side or the other, but this is still a 3-site map, and it's going to take a while for players to rotate from the A side of the map over to C. So it'll be interesting to see if they just don't respect Thief, and they don't respect that Vice wall, and they just continue to just brute force their way in, whether that be by split hitting C through Garage and through Long, or just by continuing to overwhelm with utility early, get to Garage and just keep pushing through. We'll see.
I like that Envy, even though they got first blooded, they didn't cower. Like, to react to this Penny drop from Garage, Envy just swarmed into Garage to deal with that, and even got some of these backliners and then got onto C. So they're a team that build confidence and aren't used to playing from behind, but they know their strengths on their offense playing this double duelist. This is a comp that has not changed for 2 stages now, so it's definitely a comfort part of the map for Envy. It's now just trying to figure out YFP.
Here we go, though. This is a deep slow orb followed up by a walk down long by Stellar. And I was about to say, this is the other thing that you can start to do if you're YFP. They don't really have great information gathering tools outside of the Prowler. So if you can trust that you're not going to get brute rushed over towards C, maybe there's a way to kind of get some dynamic set up to allow the ability for Stellar to walk up and take away more of the map. Because now if you're Envy, you're stuck. Like, everyone knows you're going B. Slow orb's right there. Nice to see him with the Owl drone. And yeah, delete the gate crash. No one gets in.
This is going to be a tough side, but Envy maybe just getting eyes on B, drawing out these walls, this util. Now Envy can kind of cover their tracks and just react to YFP overextending, because now they're starting to pick up that YFP will poke out and look for information that way. It's an all-out scramble for C. A 2v1 now as Envy get the spike down, and it's all up to Stellar, which Envy have marked him already walking down at long A, so Envy will now play from main.
Should be comfortable to lock this one down. If things get really weird, you could delay this even further with the kill contract, which Kane is playing off the angle just in case Ion loses some random 1v1 after the start cover fades. But you just figure that this is going to be a pretty safe one. Here comes the check. Stellar going to try to walk this one down, and no need for the kill contract. Ion is good for the easy kill. And we'll go 2-2. And so again, like, this is another instance just to kind of set the stage here early. You know, there's a couple of individual 1v1s right there that if it doesn't go your way, if you're Envy, you're stuck. And I think it's just really important that they do catch Penny on the walk down through mid. Even in particular, you really don't. As soon as Stellar shows himself, you just don't care. It's like, okay, he's at A long, fine. Let's just take our 4v2 or 4v3 at worst over towards C. Trust that we're going to win that battle, and we know Stellar is going to be so far away. So there's a level of Envy is just not respecting the split and the spread that YFP are putting together, and that right now is really working nicely.
Got mostly a save from YFP after back-to-back round losses, and now we'll be able to be as aggressive. Kill contract for Kane to open things up, and does just that against B-Dog. 2 stacked at the front of sight here of A, so despite a less ideal weaponry, YFP are not going to go down without a fight. And Inspire's opening up through sewers, really splitting the focus of someone like Penny with the Stinger, who's trying to pop away, draw some fire. Envy are trading, and this could have been a more flawless round out of Envy if I had to nitpick, but still a win streak that they're building up.
Yeah, and if there is a level of the nitpicking that comes through, especially you spend the kill contract to already give yourself a huge advantage on site. But I mean, it's just Challengers Sheriff things. It's just the way that goes sometimes. Headshots are going to land. These players are really good. We're in playoffs after all. But yeah, I mean, again, this is going to be an important round here for both these two teams. I think in particular for Envy, can you keep getting away with this idea of even if we're losing first blood, so what? We'll just take our 4v2 likely over towards the other site, which has been the case for the 2 of the last 3 rounds. On the other front for YFP, how do you want to try to set yourself up here, especially considering that you do have things like a Nightfall, you do have things like the Showstopper? Do you want to give up more space and play more reactionary here and force Envy to have to try to break down your setup? And it looks like they're going to default to trying to do that.
And YFP have already figured out, okay, can't really buy ops or outlaws or anything because of that ISO shield. So NV got kind of free reign on C. Paranoia out, countered by the Fade ult as YFP are blocked out by smokes. Also, they heard that Yoru clone up close, so YFP hesitated. Now exploding into the site is Penny, Showstopper. Eaten up by the ISO shield, and Kane takes over on the helm. So YFP have to spread themselves thin through both sides, but Ion and the rest of Envy hold it down. It's just Stellar in a 1 versus 2. Will tap the spike to get attention. Knows one is in garage and one to remain. Is trying to isolate these duels carefully. Spotted the Inspire peak, and now there's just not really any time for Stellar to address this. But
no,
I hope to make this expensive for Envy.
Yeah, it ends up being way more expensive though for YFP. With the Showstopper being called out immediately, and you've also got the Nightfall that has been spent. Now, granted, Stellar does do a nice job kind of earning a lot of that charge back, but that was an expensive round without question for YFP. Back onto a save, and again, the game plan is just not working because Envy are legitimately like, this is just them saying, we don't care. Like, we don't care that the Vice is set up. We don't care that Stellar's near enough to get his utility on site. We're just going to keep playing you out 5v2, 4v2, things like that, and your defenders that have to stay over towards A are just not going to be here. So it is a level of just the tempo that Envy is choosing to play at is just flat out disrespecting YFP, and it's putting them in a really tough spot here on this defensive side.
The ISO from Kane's Air gets so much value, the contingency they can use at long C, even into long A, and of course the shield, that double tap, which got a lot of value of denying the snipers from YFP in the past, the outlaw to now a whole Showstopper. Like, that's a huge win condition removed, a lot of options taken away from YFP. Now things are a lot more quiet than usual. Big play for Penny with the stinger up close. Zera's gonna peek it. A nice aim on the headshot. So Envy, always good with these openers.
Yeah, YFP's gonna get on the site here though to try to contest this. They are close enough to rotate over. Paranoia does not did the job that it was meant to do though. And Zera finds another freebie, and then Eggster spamming through the dark cover will tally one more. So for Stellar and Thief, this is just about seeing if you can find some way to get a couple eliminations, but Envy's off to the races here on this offensive side, and I think just kind of, again, looking at what the composition would suggest, you would assume that YFP would be dominating defensively. Like, this is going to be a tough comp to pull off on the attacking side, so things need to be solved, and I know we just took an hour worth of a tech pause, but I would imagine YFP is going to call timeout here in the next 2 rounds.
That would be a good idea, especially to figure out how you want to use your ults, what is going up against you. And Envy, what's so good about them is they run double duelist on almost every map. They haven't really changed any of their compositions besides maybe like throwing a Reyna on Pearl or something, but that's not the case here. So Envy are very comfortable, and they have such a good read on the game and their opponents. They don't need a lot of information util. They don't need a lot of initiators to give them a heads up. They're very good at fragging, and they know how YFP are setting up. Knowing they were going to be desperate with stingers, you're checking all these close range corners, and Envy have found a good weakness in that sewer side, making a pretty nice site to go to, along with maybe wrapping around garage or C. That's been a lot of success. And now Envy are starting to use B as more of like a bait site to kind of draw util in that direction, get all the smokes out of the way, the walls, and then almost explore the perimeter after that.
Yeah, and I think there, again, there's just a level of like, you don't have the ability of getting good information if you are YFP. Everything is going to feel very reactionary. Of course, that comes with the principle of playing double Sentinel, but I mean, Stellar's whole job is to find the intel early. And I think the thing about it is like the Prowlers aren't even really being spent because there's no chance to. Envy is staying back so far early and then hitting you immediately. And some of that comes with early contact at these opening choke points, whether that be in garage or in particular as they're trying to set up for some sort of an A hit. It looks like, again, inside sewer or down A long. There's just been quick contact that Envy has read and either won the battle and just ran onto site, or lose a 1v1 and then you just run to the opposite side. Like, it's just, they're just playing their numbers really, really well. And again, they're just keeping the strategy simple. We've got double duelists. Let's fight. You know, that should be the mentality when you're running it, especially with an ISO Yoru. So it's working out really well. And you're in the danger zone here if you're YFP. You're back to a full purchase. You've got the Steel Garden. You've got a res. But honestly, like, these are not necessarily game-winning ultimates or round-winning ultimates. So there's a level of they just need to start shooting better if they're going to keep being dueled out on site like they are right now.
And Envy usually go up against a lot of these double sentinel comps with the expectation that it's going to be stronger on defense. So they're okay, like, not having as crazy of a first half like in other scenarios, but this is quite a hot start for Envy, especially after a tech pause, to be able to just kind of shake that off, not get frustrated over whatever tech issues that you did experience and may continue to be experiencing right now. And for whatever Envy is going through, they're still fragging out, and that's what makes them such a scary team, especially the duelist of KaneZera. The Dusk talked at length about how he's at the top of the stats for first kills, for KD, for ADR. Like, he's the one to watch, and he's, I guess, technically a secondary to Eggster. And you have two offensive threats on that team who are playing on offense. So maybe YFP, yeah, can you slow them down? Yes. Can you stop them? I don't know.
So far, the answer for YFP has been no. And the only thing that's stopping them right now are tech pauses. That's what we got.
That's so true.
That's the only thing stopping Envy at the moment is tech pauses. You know, I think the thing too is, like, as Envy starts to boost this confidence and they start to get ultimates, again, like, I'm just trying to just go 4 rounds forward and see what the second half is going to look like. Again, like, you're just going to have to trust that Brawlers get you the info to be able to commit to getting onto site if you're YFP. Like, it's just going to be really difficult for them on the offensive side. Kill contract out. Hit is on the way towards A. And again, it said, you want to play someone over to the front side of B, we're just going to run into A and force you to fight us, and Steel Garden will come in and respond.
Would be a good advantage for YFP, but they were so limited on their way in. You had a shotgun to the dome, and YFP are down a lot. But hey, they with the resurrects, now they got the advantage, and then they sit back and just watch the round fall in the hands of YFP, which did take them some ultimates to do, sure. And Envy got good information off the kill contract of no one being on the site. But hey, YFP showing some signs of life.
Yeah, definitely an interesting round right there. Just, I mean, again, you're absolutely right. Like, you spent 2 ults, so it is a little expensive for YFP, but again, it's a round win, so you're happy for that. On the other side, a bit surprised that after Eggster finds 2 with the shorty, that Poppin doesn't just immediately back off and hit the Hunter's Fury to try to get a bit of a reset and allow his teammates to get back into position. Because you can kind of see on the minimap right here, to be fair, like, this contingency, yeah, I was about to say, is just about to come up. And if Kane can stay alive, that's a totally different situation. But I'm just surprised that the Hunter's Fury wasn't called to continue to put pressure down in the connector once he started to hear KaneZera start to panic, saying, I'm in trouble here at Hell. So, interesting call, but again, it's not going to be the end of the world for Envy. They've got a lot of tools, including the Dimensional Drift. Played with the undercut to get into the backside of C immediately.
Dimensional Drift activated, so Extra has time to be invisible while the rest of the team work off from that vice wall, and the blinds come out. YFP still clap back despite that blind, and B-Dog is holding it down. A well-stacked site response to Envy. This has been a very popular attacking round, or attacking part of the map, and YFP had the answer for it this time.
Yeah, and that is a lot of the initial hit gets blocked by a lot of the sheer wall, just blocking off a couple of the members from Envy. They can't really get into site to follow up on the information that Eggster is able to provide. So again, just that's the problem that can sometimes be faced when you're trying to rush into a Vice. We haven't really seen Thief like provide utility success that we were maybe assuming based on what they are looking to do on paper, but here it works out really nicely in combination with the Paranoia. You know, B-Dog again right there with a slow orb, I believe, to kind of stagger out that hit towards Garage. And again, there's a lot of tools here for YFP defensively to throw some resiliency to the mix. It just comes down to actually finding the success in it as we head to round 10.
And Envy did point out, like in their last interview, that the thing that they want to work on is still stacking together. Like, yes, you can go send KaneZera to kill everybody, but sometimes he does need that team to back him up. And the Vice Wall has been a kryptonite to Envy in the past, and they want to be able to cross that as a team. And even with the Dimensional Drift, Exter was still isolated. So Envy were humbled for now 2 rounds in a row as YFP clawed their way back, and it's been quite a quiet round. 4 stacked from YFP on that right side.
Yeah, double walls at mid and garage right now. So mid map feels very safe if you're YFP. You also have the ability here, if Stellar starts to feel pressure, that you can call a Nightfall out. But wow, they're going to use it early. That will only hit onto Inspire. Barrier Orb breaks at mid, and the Recon Dart will say that, yep, we can get on in this. There will be a teleport for Jake to get over towards C to see if they can kind of pinch this site up a little bit. But once again, Envy, get onto site. They're going to go for the 4v5 post plan.
Envy tried to surprise, pushing that right side. You hate to be kind of bunkered into B. It's such a small site, and you play from main, and you get smoked off. So Envy tried to surprise. Now Paranoia out. Where is YFP coming from? There's just no one on the right side. Left side is smoked, or not smoked anymore.
Can we move? Can we go? Like, this is taking way too long, especially with the Hunter's Fury at the ready. First couple of shots are good, but you still have to worry about the Inspire in the backside of the site. It's been clean, and oh, okay, no one from Envy hits their shot. So I was about to say, this is taking a long time for YFP considering a Hunter's Fury's in play, but it doesn't get pulled, and I look to be the one who's stupid, apparently.
Just kind of like taking time to figure out that plan of just, okay, what have Envy used? They used the Paranoia on the right side. They've already lost one of their duelists who was trying to be aggressive. And for YFP to mitigate that aggression is also pretty impressive, to come back from a 2-5 deficit to now tie things up. Putting Envy in the first time out position it's quite surprising. So YFP have figured out how to catch up to Envy before they get set up too well.
Yeah, and there's a level, I think, of the adjustments have been solid for YFP. I'm going to sound like such a flip-flopper right now after kind of coming across critical with the timing of that retake from YFP. But the one thing that they have found success with throughout all the first 10 rounds has been first bloods. I mean, we're not going to see it till the end of the map when the desk gets a chance to break it down, but YFP have been winning the first blood battle. And as much as Envy has not cared, and they found success just running in and taking a 4v2 on a different site or a 4v3 at worst. Now you're starting to see YFP find first bloods in a position that is a little bit closer to home. You know, you look back over to like a couple of rounds prior when Stellar's pushing up A long, he gets a first blood there, and Envy just runs up C. Now you're starting to see these first bloods are happening a little bit closer to when the actual execute's coming through. So you do have an opportunity for players to rotate a little bit quicker to get their utility at worst on site. Things like a barrier orb late, a sheer wall that gets faded out, but the barrier orb's there to replace it. A slow orb that's there, a haunt that's there. Like, the utility is starting to connect a bit better for YFP with numbers, and that's been where a lot of these last 3 rounds have come through.
Yeah, and that's the advantage of YFP, is having more util to take away vision from Envy and things like that. And where you insert Stellar and also Penny in the first 30 seconds is what could catch Envy off guard, forcing them to be a lot more passive, more reactive, as you had pointed out. And the same goes for someone like Kane's and Exter, what they're able to do in the first 30 seconds. That first blood can really waterfall things.
Yeah, and look at this. I mean, again, this is fine. Like, Penny's just looking to get one, but look at the defensive setup on the minimap. Like, everyone's watching long crossing angles, respecting that Envy might get on the site, but hopefully you can catch someone on a bit of a pinch. Their ult that's going to be spent now, as Inspire is able to at least open the doors onto B. B-Dog affected by the Paranoia. Stellar still trying to stay alive inside the site, but it can only find one, and Envy's going to get a plant.
Wow, just for Envy to realize, okay, you have that Sage at the back site, you know you have Rez, it's important win con to try and isolate her, the Paranoia, but for them to also split their attention to the responding Paranoia from Jakey on the left side. Like, Envy reacts so well in these high-pressure scenarios. We have a 6-5 with 1 round left to go, and Rez is still on the line, and YFP have been able to make this quite close.
Yeah, they really have, and they needed it. They needed it badly, just with that, 5 rounds in a row that Envy was able to pull off. Still a little bit of work to be, again, done when it comes to trying to swap the sides around to see how this composition plays out. But for now, you look at what's available, and honestly, for the defense, not much unless Penny's able to collect an orb or 2 kills. Other side, this Hunter's Fury has been earned for Poppin for the last 4 or 5 rounds. Has not used it, not to open a site, nor to really secure a post plan. So we'll see what Poppin wants to do here in terms of information found versus the ability to try to get an opening first blood with the Hunter's Fury.
Not just that information, just Envy knowing that sometimes YFP have popped out of garage, so just making sure they have their sights set. They're not going for that immediate Sonic or Shock Bolt from Poppin, just being careful of what you do in those first 30 seconds. Now it will be Penny that can open things up, and Envy going into B will have the split between left and right side, and that can be the kerfuffle that can cost Envy some members.
Well, and that's the thing is, like, do you try to just block off one of the sides of the dark cover and then just rush into the other? And that, yeah, okay, that's exactly what they're going to do. Well, they just send the decoy instead. Forces out the boom bot so you get information on where the raise is, or do you? Penny just spams through the dark cover and finds the first blood. Now Jake's on the flank, and Envy's in trouble here for this post plan again.
Oh, and this wraparound. Oh, Jakey could have done so much more, but Envy sensed something. Communication so good on this team. And there is a Hunter's Fury we've been wanting to see, just to seal off that right side, leaving Ion to watch the left, and Envy putting a lot of trust in each other, knowing exactly where YFP are going to be coming from. Now this res used as the last round of the half is not going to be giving YFP any more than what they already have.
Yeah, and to kind of give you the quick spark notes here, YFP are looking to stifle and force Envy into a bad position with all this choke point utility. Doesn't really get respected by Envy, and they bounce off 5 rounds in a row. But YFP, finding first bloods, eventually you're able to kind of slow down the game, get your utility into play to where you can actually follow up, and that's where you see the retakes finding success. But right there at the end again, it's just Envy saying, if they're going to try to get first bloods on us from inside the site, let's just out-trade them. So they're definitely playing more brawly than YFP want to. Based on this composition, it makes sense to do that. And now here comes the real question. You know, for YFP, down 2 rounds, you lose the pistol here, you're going to be down 4, and there's going to be very little wiggle room in terms of what is your offensive identity going to be with double sentinels. What you're hoping for is a clean take to get onto site, and then you just never allow Envy to get back on. But with Envy's aggression that they've defaulted to playing for, I wouldn't expect them to be okay with not contesting spikes. They're going to want to challenge early.
The initial shock bolt from Poppin just to get himself entered deep into main. Just the one tap and dip is crazy, utilizing the enemy's smoke to get back to safety. And now he's joined with Exter, calling over some additional help, and he's still got a recon. And this will be good timing as YFP be approaching, already taking some early damage, and having to do it without Penny is always tough. There's a paranoia in. YFP taking angles, starting to surround Envy, and Kane is able to isolate these angles. All the smokes in position, and Poppin comes out with 3.
Yeah, that's, you see though what YFP is going to try to do on their offensive take. Even again, playing off of the odd number situation, you get a slow orb in the back of the site, you bury your orb to cross to get in, and then you follow up with some sort of utility from Stellar to make sure that the defensive rotation that tries to get in to help the player on site is either tagged and made aware of, or they just don't really get into a good spot. Problem here is you don't clear out the dark cover that Poppin's sitting in after he was supposed to be stuck behind the site. So that's just a bit of an issue there with that combination of the Razor Vine and the slow orb, thinking that you've completely rooted a player in and you're just not checking your smokes up close, which really is the punishing part of that pistol. So here we go. Now you've got snipers, and Exter already connects for 1. Help is on the way for Inspire, and no one's getting into this site.
Marshall's doing work for Exter, and YFP still just had to surge on in, and Envy had backup. It's not just Exter, it's the whole squad.
Yeah,
and this
really
is a YFP that bought up too, had a bunch of stingers, and to go down C, that's tough.
Yeah, and it's going to make this next purchase pretty miserable. That felt like YFP kind of taking a bit of a chance. And to be fair, this round's not over yet, especially with Poppin missing a couple of shots into B-Dog, like still healthy enough to possibly get the heal back and also kind of set the terms of this post plan. This is still winnable, but this is one of those rounds that YFP, if they end up losing this, they're going to feel the impact of it pretty convincingly.
Hey, those walls are not cheap, okay, in this economy? But hey, the Aldrin, same thing, and it didn't even get eyes. Didn't even see the ponytail of B-Dog, and this recon is gonna ping B-Dog. That's tough, but hey, you know, the approach and in front of the shock bolt, that could have ended B-Dog before shots were fired. Now healed, almost a full Exter on the flank, gets 4 for the round, and Envy take the anti-eco.
Yeah, that was tight though, like really a hell of an effort for B-Dog. Plays it at the exact right terms, but again, it's just another one of those rounds that you see it kind of unfold towards C. Same idea if you're YFP. Use the barrier orb, or not the barrier orb, the slow orbs to kind of block off the rotation into sight, but you don't ever really get a true look at it just due to the fact that you just don't have the weapon. So you're trying to get the stingers into play. You know, the opening Marshall shot that hits makes life that much easier for Envy to get back into sight and contest this evenly. And then eventually, yeah, you see how that round kind of unfolds to the 1v2. So now we're on to another essential half purchase because YFP cannot afford the traditional gun round. And this bonus is going to actually be much stronger than what YFP can afford. And you lose this round if you're YFP, you're clawing your way and hoping that your game plan is going to be perfect. And KaneZera is going to break timing and put this round pretty much out of question right off the get-go.
Yeah, there's just so much trust into popping an extra to hold through main, and KaneZera is able to come through sewers and just absolutely crush YFP from all sides. And they don't know whether to fight or escape or to assess the threat before it's already in your face. So a good play from Envy on that part.
Yeah, so now you've got like a fourth round of the half bonus here, if you want to call it that, for Envy. You're stacking up tons of credits. The thing is, I wouldn't be surprised to see them try to upgrade a couple of these weapons because you've already got the Dimensional Drift and the Hunter's Fury, and you're close to a kill contract. And if you win this round, if you're Envy, you're going to win this map 13-5. Like, it's just, there's not enough tools that are going to be up for YFP. They're going to be broken on economy again. And yeah, you are going to get a Phantom and a Vandal into play. So there's a level of Envy, again, have a huge advantage just based on how this half has gone. And YFP are going to have to play flawless Valorant. Especially in these full purchase rounds, like there's not going to be able to make a mistake because otherwise this game's just going to be over.
None of these sites are looking super sexy for YFP to push, right? Like you got
not.
like 3K by Inspire from a Marshall on C. You have 3 members of Envy that were stacked at A when pushing sewers. You want to avoid KaneZera for as long as possible, and Ion hits 3 just sitting on top of the box like that. This round is over already.
Yeah, and the Hunter's Fury is also, make matters worse, tag on the Thief. It's just, didn't work, I'll tell you that much. It didn't work for YFP. And I think there's a level of like, I feel like this conversation doesn't get talked about enough, but like when you're building out a composition that has inherent strengths and advantages on one side of the spike, and you don't find the success that you're anticipating, and then you come out and lose the pistol, like you're down 4 rounds and you try to force your way in, which again is a risky call, but their ability to actually make a comeback, it has to resort to essentially hoping your game plan is perfect. And obviously we've only seen 1 full gun round for YFP. It gets dismantled because there's early ultimates that are in play. Like it's a really long set of unfortunate events that YFP are finding themselves victim to. And now they're gonna find things to be even worse because Shorty is disgusting. Kill contracts up on your picture-in-picture. That battle's not clean, but it still works. And YFP are going to be on a 5-12 count unless Steve can do something crazy.
So not even punish Exter is insane. And now that he's back, he's got his fellow duelist, and KaneZera is unlocked. This is scary. 12-5. This is feeling pretty over. YFP, I mean, have explored all their options from the 3 stack on the right side of the map from Envy to Inspire's a problem at the left side to Ion's 3K'ing on top of the box at B. There is no weak site. And this is why Haven, to me, is such a hard avoid. But at least with the fun composition, YFP were hoping to catch them off guard in some kind of way of making them hesitate on how you would approach this comp. But it's still Envy who shoots better at the end of the day.
And at 21-12, 17-10, 16 and something else, like Envy's just out dueling YFP. And I think just like looking at this composition, if YFP were to have pulled this off against any other team, I think they probably dominate with it. Like, I just don't think a lot of teams would be able to kind of counteract the difficulties that come through. But KaneZera is doing this, like just spamming and finding headshots with Phantoms. There's also the level of like, Envy is a team that just does not give a rat's rear end what you play. They're going to want to duel you on Haven with double duelists. So, yeah, it's just a very convincing affair here. You also have to add into the mix that there was an hour tech break that these players are probably, you know, again, talking about it a little bit. Like, so they, you know, they had a lot of time to talk through and just make sure that all their T's were crossed and their I's were dotted. And yeah, when you're shooting like this, it makes life very easy.
I think B-Dog and Jade made this winnable with the res and Jakey picking up some kills. It ended up being 3 versus 3, and numbers are still equal. So YFP, again, would have to play flawless for a whole bunch of rounds. And I think the only options they had left was to try and explore Garage and try to punish Exter on these kind of sitting in smoke plays, you know, with the shorty or whatever he's got in his hand. So YFP tried to go through Garage, got spammed through the smoke, which was kind of corny, but it works out. Envy have luck on their side. I don't know what it is, but hey, the spike is planted, so it's not over.
Yeah, Dimensional Drift, though, is going to be used to just get a tally on where everybody is. You've seen the player at Hell, and now you're just looking to see where exactly has the full HP member gone, and They're not gonna be able to find him. Jake will still fall immediately. And this is, I was about to say, I'm surprised they didn't give Penny the spike so she can get the showstopper up, but now has it. Could use that as a key to success. Calls it. Ion on the corner, try to deny the angle. And now you're just, whoa, what a play from Ion! Teleports to the high ground of the box. Penny isn't prepared, and it's tight, but it's good enough. Oh, what a play from Ion.
We're singing the praises of everyone on NV, and Ion has pulled 2 big rounds out of his hat like it was a rabbit. The teleport play, the immediate escape after hearing that showstopper to the other round where he just stood on top of the B box, got a 3K, and ended the round in their favor.